Hi. Hello, everyone. As always, the first question, can you hear me? How is everyone tonight? I don't know why I'm so off center. Actually, I do. I had things set up all differently for an interview that I did, and I thought everything was all back in alignment, but not quite as of yet. So, how is everyone? What are you spending your Saturday evening? What were you doing before this? If it is the evening for you, I just thought it would be fun to come on and do just some casual comic chat. It's been a very comic filled week. I wanted to talk about some of the stuff I've been reading, just elaborate more on the DC stuff because it's been on my mind a lot lately. We're coming up to Absolute Batman Week. It's funny, when I was first looking at all of the solicits, I had thought that they were coming out on the same day, like all those months ago. It feels like eons ago when we were reading those solicits, but they're actually fairly staggered. So there's some time, and they're also in the order that people are the most interested in. I put a poll up recently to see what you were the most interested in seeing first. And so the order is working out because it's Batman, Wonder Woman, and then Superman. So that also means that there'll probably be some more information coming on Superman because there's been the least for him so far. And it was amusing, well, amusing and a bit sad for him in the poll where more people voted all out than for being interested in absolute Superman. Poor Clark. But it's going to be exciting to talk about it. Lots of just fun. It's going to be a fun October, I think. Lots of interesting things to discuss. I was rereading The Crooked Man because I was reminded that that Hellboy movie, the adaptation, it's coming out, and I think it's being released, at least where I am, in a few days. And so I was like, well, it's time to reread The Crooked Man. So I did, and that was a good time. And I'm still deciding whether or not I'm going to discuss it or not. It was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if it would have a nice thumbnail and if the people would be interested without a cool, really eye-catching Crooked Man thumbnail, but maybe. We shall see. What are all of you reading? Let me see. Let me catch up with the chat and what you've been up to. I don't know why my camera is reversed also. So that's a thing. That is happening as well. And I didn't realize I'd done that for the interview. And now I on that entire video, I'm editing it and it looks like I'm looking the other way. So that one is with Jim Zub. We were discussing Conan and Sword and Sorcery comics, and that should be ready for early in the week. And I'm very excited to share that with all of you. Oh, Echoes of Wisdom looks fun. Tim McCabe is saying he's playing Echoes of Wisdom. I've seen some footage of that, and it looks like a really chill and fun time. Yeah, I read Hyde Street and I enjoyed it. I did the review of it on the channel, and it made me want to rewatch some Twilight Zone episodes, but I did. I had to do it late at night because I started watching Nightmare at 20,000 feet. You know, that's the one with William Shatner and he's on the airplane and everybody over exaggerates the voice. They're like, there's something on the wing, even though he's not doing it that intensely. But it's the one where there's the monster on the wing of the plane. And I started watching it and my daughter came in, she got afraid, so I had to stop. But then I got to watch the rest of it later. But what did all of you think of it? Who read it? Captain Underpants is saying, guys, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm all in. So are you all in just for the Trinity, or are you all in, like for like Challengers of the Unknown? They did a bit of a follow-up and added some more info to the newer ones they announced, like the new gods and stuff. And mostly I just stuck in my brain that that Barda and Scott's daughter of the new gods is called Live Free if you abbreviate her name. So I see that they let Scott name her. The puns must flow. That's how you survive apocalypse. It's a good sense of humor. And punny names, apparently. Ah, yes, I see a few people have read The Moon is Following Us. I also enjoyed The Moon is Following Us. That's one of the many things that I read on the Global Comics app, which I knew I was going to mention, which is why I put the link for my discount code in the top, because there are a couple things I read that were on there. I feel like I'm like the Avon lady now, but with Global Comics. It's because it's really good. Because I read all of like Harrow County recently, all of it, just the whole thing, and the library editions too, which I think when I get it, I'll probably like physically, I'll probably get the library editions because they have all the sketches in the back and the original story and behind the scenes things, and I enjoy all of those things. So it was cool to just power through them, but looking at like the art and the decision to do watercolors because it's by Cullen Bunn and Tyler Crook, and Crook, to make it fun for himself, decided to paint some of it. And so I was like, oh, well, this needs to be big. The phone is not doing it, justice as it could, as one would imagine on the tiny screen. Another one that was really not done justice at all was Standstill, which I read recently, which is the one where the sociopathic guy steals the machine allows him the ability to stop time. Those have these huge, stretched out, spread out panels that are taking over both pages almost constantly. And that's really something that needs to be read physically. But also, I almost wish that it was even more than that, that it was a canvas style European comic, because that would look absolutely gorgeous. Archer 2010 Effects, thank you very much. Really enjoyed Hyde Street and Redcoat, but the last issue of JSA hit me in the feels. I have not read that yet. I need to. That's on the list of things I haven't read yet because I've been editing. I also need to read Plastic Man No More #2, and there's a couple of other things. Funnily enough, in my reading order, I decided to read DC All in Special 1, like #1. There's only going to be one, except for the second printing, but it's still going to be #1, before I read Absolute Power #4, because I really wanted to know if you could read the one without having read the other. I was like, well, the only way to truly know this is to do it. So that's the way that I did it. And I stand by that. I think you can get away without reading Absolute Power 4. In fact, some things will probably be less conflicting if you do that, because there's some power swapping that happens at the end of Absolute Power. Universa. Oh, hi. Hi to Brazil. Oh, I see some people have some people had sneak peeks of things. I know that there have been various sneak peeks, like going out around various places and the like. Balls Monkey is asking, have you been reading X-Force? No, I'm so behind on all the X books. Amanda's always telling me about things. I'm keeping up with the main ones. I'm like, okay, well, actually, two of the main ones. For the most part, there are so many books right now, and there's so much really exciting stuff happening inside of the indie space. And since I've had the app, it's been allowing me to check out a lot of things that were just things I was kind of interested in but hadn't picked up as of yet, or things that had been recommended to me but I hadn't divin, whatever the proper conjugation is yet. And so like Feral was another one that I had been reading, the cute little kitty one by Tony Fleece with art by Trish Fossner. I think that is her name. Let me actually pull it up so I can get names correct, because that one, they also did one called Stray Dogs, which was about cute little dogs that were being kept in a house with a serial killer. It's horror vibes. Was I right? Yes, I was. Trish Fossner. I was, yes, good. This one is a bunch of kitties on the run, and there's a zombie outbreak, but the zombie outbreak is an extreme form of rabies. And instantly I knew this was something that was going to both hold my attention and upset me. So that's been going on, and that has been quite the ride. So I hesitate to recommend things that aren't done, though, because you know how it is. Sometimes an ending can make or break something, and you can get all the way to the end, and depending upon how it ends, it can completely alter your entire opinion on something. So far, So far, I have been enjoying it, but take it with a grain of salt because it's not done yet, so we don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of good indie stuff out there at the moment, and it's always fun to have a chance to discuss it. I am thinking about doing a second Rex video, even though from a YouTube standpoint, the first one didn't go gangbusters, but it was so fun to make. And I was like, the first one was a bit more obscure things. Like you saw me just lift stuff up. I'm rereading Witches and the like as well, trying to cobble together what's going to be on the second list that I really feel like making because I think it'll be fun to just showcase a bunch of different things. I see some of you are telling me what you are reading. Jake Nyland, Hi Casually Comics. I'm enjoying the new NYX series, and I just picked up the trade of the Wonder Comics Young Justice series. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh, that was a while back. Let me know what you think of that when you get through it. It's just nice to hear that so many people are reading so many things. I'm laughing because Dragonberry Meat has put their text upside down, which is a reference to the DC All-In book. He had to flip upside down. I have to say, I was a bit saddened that I didn't have the physical one, so I couldn't do the flippy flip, even though I'm not sure if it would be as endearing over time. But it's a nice thing that they worked into the book itself because there are points in the first story where some of that's also upside down and it has a purpose, but still. Matthew Prower is asking, so will Absolute Green Lantern know what Will is? We'll see if they're even powered by Will or what's going on there. I've heard that it's quite different. So Graduator 14 is teasing me, asking, will we ever get a Formally Comics? It's funny, when I did the DC Comics special, I did it more off the cuff. I didn't script that one. I had some generic notes, but I didn't have a firm scripted structure like I normally do. And someone commented with, finally, a casual video on Casually Comics. This made me laugh because I'm like, yeah, I guess my casual is fairly formal most of the time, except for right now. Which is fairly casual and off the cuff, I like to think. Tim McCabe is saying Absolute Green Lantern is powered by Suffer. We already have a Sorrow Lantern. We already have Nathan and the wonderful adventures there. Ben Chan's asking if I've been watching Agatha. No, I have not. I've not been watching Agatha all along. I'm always late to the show side of things, usually catching up on something else. Are you watching it? Have you been enjoying it? Because I know that there's just so much content in general right now, everywhere. I love that I could read that upside down. So what does everyone think of Joker? That's what I also haven't seen. I've heard such mixed things, though, that it's giving potential art house vibes, and that intrigues me. That just makes me want to see it all the more. Whenever I hear that a film might be challenging, I'm like, ooh, challenging, you say? I like to be challenged. Challenge accepted, as they used to say. I don't know if they still say that or not. The slang is always ever evolving, ever changing. Yeah, I've heard good things about Penguin as well. Penguin sounds like something that I'd probably like. Jake Nyland's asking, but what about Challengers? I'll definitely be there for Challengers of the Unknown. Is Challengers something that all of you will be there for, or is that just too much? I've already seen a bunch of people say that they'll be there for the New Gods stuff, which is exciting to see. I have to say, in general, even for the people who are all out, I would say that the vibe overall has been fairly fun, at least in the corner of the internet that I'm on. I don't know about for the rest of everyone because, like I always like to say, like the internet and fandom aren't monolithic. Those terms often get used that way, but they're not. Depending upon where you are, you can be having a very different experience than somebody else. Oh, AJ Miller, thank you. I love this shirt. I haven't worn it for a while. Actually, I haven't read Saga for a while either. I kind of fell off a little bit. The hiatus, that was a long hiatus. How are all of you with hiatus? Like how long of a hiatus puts you off? Or if you love something so much, are you always there despite the length of the hiatus? Because that one was a bit too far. So for me, it was years. It was a long, long time. As more people are coming in, hello, hello. We're just keeping it casual, just hanging out. I still have the DC special pulled up on my Kindle reader because I was grabbing a couple of images for a poll I was going to post because they have this gorgeous splash page of everybody getting their membership cards and what they're going to do with them, whether they're joining or not. How do you feel about the league having such a big roster like the TV show? I personally don't mind. To me, it always seemed like they had a big roster because they had a huge bunch of reserve members. So now it just feels like it's a bit more active than them being reserved. But they've had a large roster before. I think it's kind of fun with the idea that they hinted at in the DC All In special that they're going to pair people off on power set wise, because that can be really interesting. And if you play with characters actually having different relationships with each other, you could have some really fun stories there. Gamma Head Press saying, I think that should be standard for the league. Yeah, because I mean, they have to deal with so many threats anyway. You would want as many people as possible. Common sense. Thank you very much. Think that the new Challengers follows up on Scott Snyder's? I'm not sure. Maybe that's a question we should ask when he returns. I think we've hammered out a date for that. So once we have, I'll put your questions here because you know me, I don't like to announce anything because I'm convinced that it's cursed. So that's why all of the live streams are always announced like 20 minutes before they happen. Too many years of announcing them beforehand and then something happens. I think the earliest one I've ever announced recently was the one that I did with Serum Lake. And that worked out though. That was good. So maybe the curse has lifted. I'm not sure. Let me see what all of you are saying. Ooh, Jake Nall is asking who would be the most unexpected duo to come from the new league roster. Ah, I wish Damien had joined because then you could have had some really fun Grumpy Damien, Grumpy Damien pairings. Dragonberry Mead, thank you very much. I like the league having a big roster. It gives lesser known heroes some time to shine. It does have the same vibe as when the DCAU did it. And I think that's a really fun way to highlight different people. And that's one of the things I'm enjoying about the announced lineup so far for DC All In. Like we'll see how long they all last. Fingers crossed, people pick them up and they go well. But it's nice to see other people getting books. Like it's nice to see Black Lightning. It's nice to see Metamorpho. That's one of the things that people say all the time, that they're tired of it always being Batman and Bat family members. And while there are a lot of them, there are other titles. Hopefully people give them a shot and hopefully they're into it and they like it. I'm always hoping things will be good, That's what I'm always hoping. Multitasking at the same time. Oh, Gamma Head Press was asking who's writing Absolute Flash. That's Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire is writing that. Yeah, because I saw a lot of people weren't sure what had been announced as of yet. And that's when I had that moment where I realized, like, oh no, I'm in too deep again. I've gotten in too deep once more. Yeah, Stellar Avenger is pointing out that there were some deep cuts. There were indeed some deep cuts. There were more deep cuts, I think, in the Omega side of DC All In, which was the side that was more headed up by Scott Snyder, even though they co-wrote it. And so I think that one might have been a bit harder to jump into. But one of the things for me is that when I got into comics, I knew basic things. Like I knew who people were because of TV shows and stuff like that. But I didn't know a lot of the lore. I certainly didn't know any of the history at that point, anything about any of the crises and the relaunches or anything like that. And I came in just a little bit before they did the new 52. And I don't know. I thought that the things that were going on were interesting and they propelled me to want to know more. And I got kind of echoes of that energy reading the All In special. But again, I am so deep that it's hard to pull back and see if that would be the same for other people. That's one of the reasons why in the video I asked, like, if you're new, how are you feeling about it? Because I'm so far away from being new at this point. I'm like, I need to know. Because I have seen some people say that this is the first floppy or anything they've ever picked up. And I think that's really cool. Even though I was watching, I forget whose channel I was watching. It came up on autoplay. It was this older gentleman. He goes to the store and just buys a bunch of comics, then like flips through them. And some of them were so cool. That's where I heard about Standstill and went and checked that out on the app. But it reminded me why I don't do a lot of physicals, because like some of them were so flimsy and I was like, oh, the pages, I was worried they were going to tear. It's like I'm spoiled. I need that trade, that thick trade energy. Not even that these are that thick, but I need the extra binding on the front to make sure that everything's okay. The art in this is so nice. Jock's art is really nice in this. It just sets the atmosphere so well. I also have Local Man here beside me. It finally arrived. That's another thing that I read on the Global Comics app, and then I was like, I need it in my life. And I have the edition with the art error that I caught in it, so yay, keep it forever. the no food edition. It's like one day it'll be valuable, even though I'm never selling this. That's not how I collect. I don't collect to sell personally. What about any of you? Are any of you flippers? Do you get things and then sell them later on? I see some people saying I'm a trader too. Because there's so many different ways. Again, like there's so many different ways to enjoy and engage with the fandom. Tim McCabe is saying local man. Local man saves local man. Local man saves Florida man. Edward Alcantara is saying, no, I don't really keep physical comics anymore. Is it a space thing? Is it like, because they start to take up a lot of space? And that's one of the other things I like about having like an app, so that you can kind of decide what's worthy of the space, or what, not even what's worthy, what you can and want to keep. You really have to prioritize what's actually going to take up space, because it is finite. You can only keep so many things. There are a couple of books from early in my collecting. I wanted to say career. I'm like, it's not a job. Hobby. Dalliance. I don't know. Early in the collecting era that I would not have bought now, because that was during the time and I was just buying anything and I wasn't fully sure what I was into as of yet. And so there's something that look back there and like, that was a choice I would not make again. But at the same time, I can't get rid of it. I can't. Kev's Collectible is saying, I'm an action figure collector, so I stick to digital for comics. I have a couple of toys back there, but not for collection purposes. I just like them. One day they'll come out of the box. One day, eventually. I want to kind of pose them places. I know it's cheesy. I want to pose them against each other, the Kirk and the Gorn back there. And there was also a poster I saw online. I'm like, I want to get that poster where it's set up that they're going to have a boxing match. I'm like, I want to put them under their poster one day in the completed nook. I think it'll be cute. I was watching a bunch of decoration shorts and inspiration struck. Rashid is saying posing is half the fun. I'm glad I'm not alone in thinking that. Rat Queen is saying you should make them I'm sure my daughters will do that for me. They're always asking to open them. Like, can we take them out of the box? I'm like, you haven't even been able to finish the episode. You think it's so boring? Oh. I saw something is killing the children pop up in the chat. So speaking of that, that is currently winning our poll. The book club is coming back. The comic book club, where we talk about a book that is voted on by the members live. The date we're going to talk about it is October 26th, and anybody can come and discuss, and I'll announce what the winner is before that. But so far, Something is Killing the Children is winning. So if you want to go and vote for it to make sure it wins, or vote for anything else, you can do that if you're a member here, or if you're a member on Kofi or Kofi, however you're supposed to say it. But the poll's up both places. Dragonberry Mead, thank you very much. Do you have plans for Halloween? The usual, taking the kids out trick-or-treating. This year, they really want me to dress up, so I'm like, okay, I'll dress up. They already have their costumes, and my eldest wanted to be Harley Quinn, so we got a version, an appropriate version of a Harley Quinn costume. We got a big hammer. So she's got a big giant red hammer that squeaks when it bangs stuff. I hate it. It's so loud. But she's thrilled. She's looking at various makeup looks to do a Harley thing. So that's going to be a lot of fun. My other daughter wants to be Elsa because of course she does. And then we'll see what my son is going to be. So then I'm like, I'll figure something out so that we can all be dressed up and do the Halloween thing. It's going to be a pretty fun season since they're so into it. It's funny. I have all of these wigs and I can't figure out what I want to do. I'm like, what should I dress up as? There's too many wigs. That's the problem. It's causing too many choices. Dress 504, thank you very much. Have you ever featured Ice Cream Man? I've read it. I haven't ever featured it or highlighted it. That was one of the ones when I asked in the rec video I did for what are some of your favorite scary books, that one came up a lot. So if I do end up doing the one that is recommended for the people by the people, I'm pretty sure that Ice Cream Man would make it onto the list. For me personally, Ice Cream Man really, really varies. It depends. Oh, I'll figure it out. Watch me give the wigs to my kids and then go wigless. In my head, and it's terrible. I'm like, punchline. Now is the time for punchline. Confuse the people in your neighborhood. They're like, are you a sexy clown? Clown core? I don't they're all adults. I don't think they'd ask me clown core. I don't know if they know what clown core is. Oh. Because I talk about punchline so much, the pre-made cosplay costume oftentimes pops up on my sidebar, so I see it. I even know how much it costs. It's so bad. Oh. Dragonberry me, so you can introduce them to Clowncore. Oh, Duella Dent, 80s version. Vidai Nagonia, thank you very much. Thoughts on Mike Allred's Madman? I don't have any because I have not had the pleasure. I've read a lot of Mike Allred's other work, usually for DC and the like, but not that. I need to, though. I've been reading a lot of older indie stuff lately. Just, it's been catching a lot of my attention recently. And that's been a lot of fun. The only thing about it is that then I want to discuss it all so badly. And you can only discuss so many things that you know people aren't going to click on in a row before YouTube starts to punish you. So you got to space them out. There are a bunch of videos that I have written for things. I'm like, you got to space them out, you know? I'm also excited to talk about a bunch of the mainstream stuff. So it's like you can talk about, say, for example, Absolute Batman. Then it's time to talk about something a bit more obscure, that kind of thing. But it is fun to highlight. It was really fun, for example, to highlight Hyde Street #1. I was really glad to talk about that. And I'm excited to talk about the other releases from Ghost Machine. They've just had a lot of really cool releases as of late. Kev's Collectibles is saying, thanks to you, Punchline lives in my head rent free. Oh, I'm always excited for a punchline sighting. Give me the absolute punchline. That's my pitch. I'm like, so in this world, everything's different. By that, I mean, we replaced Harley with punchline. So different, so edgy. Stay upon it. So you got to sprinkle in that Batman in between. Exactly. You got to pull Batman out for a rainy day. It's funny because when I was going through a bunch of different scary horror comics that I wanted to highlight, because I'm like, I'm in the mood to talk about some scary things. And a bunch of them were Batman. It was like, have you talked about Batman 100? Have you talked about Batman Red Rain? Have you talked, like, stop recommending Batman to me. I do want to do the Mad Monk one, though. The updated Mad Monk, because there's the 1940s one from the Golden Age, and then they did a retelling later on, and the retelling goes pretty hard. Artful Dehal Jr., thank you very much. Are you into Wildstorm? And have you Dream War? Am I into Wildstorm? Not overly. What's funny is that I'm starting to appreciate a lot more of the 90s stuff as I get older and look at it through a different lens. And things like Local Man are really good for that. But even before that, I'd been rereading a bunch of stuff. When I came into comics, it was very much of the mindset of like the 90s. You can just put that in a box. It's nothing but guns and pouches and scantily clad ladies. And especially if you were a female fan, sometimes you were told, like, don't even look at that. Like, you don't want to. And that kind of thing always makes me like, well, now I want to look at it. Now I need to know. And the more I looked into it and also realized that some of the things I already liked, like Witchblade, were from then. And I was like, oh, there's actually a lot more to it like than that. There's so much there, but there are lots of things that I haven't fully looked into yet. And that's the thing, because there are so many comics out there. It's amazing. It's just amazing how much I have read and how much there still is to read on top of that. Yes, Sunstone. People are talking about Sunstone because Stay Upon's in the chat. They're like, I like Sunstone. I like Sunstone. What was I reading? I was reading Fine Print the other day, actually. I was like, I need to talk about this. I'm going to need so many censor bars to do it. Kitsune Kun too. Thank you very much. Donna Troy / Power Girl support group. Thoughts? Oh, because of their origins? Is it a support group because of how confusing their origins are? Hawkman should join. There are a bunch of other people who can join if that's what it's for. Aw, Stanley, I have a fondness for 90s comics. And also, I want to look at comics from every era, every single one. I think there are things to be pulled out in value in all the different eras. All of them. That sounded so dramatic. It sounded like I was giving a speech at the end there. A dramatic, empowered speech. My phone is buzzing. That's why. I can never put the phone fully down. I'm like, it could be something important. It could be something important. Matthew Foster, thank you very much. Any thoughts on something epic from Image? I have not read it, but it's on the app. And it actually, I have it because it updated. I am subscribed to Image. And so they always send me like, do you want to read this? So, so I have that there. Would you recommend it, Matt? Do you think it was, I just gave you an abbreviated name. Like, we're super close. I'm so sorry. Are you, would you recommend it, Matthew? Common Sense, thank you very much. Duke Thomas, Yara Flor, and Kanan Kong team up. You know, you saw all of them in the special issue. It was nice to see Yara. I was like, I'm glad they took the time to draw Yara. Also, if you really like Duke, Wayne Family Adventures is the place where they appreciate Duke and have Duke do things. Duke had a whole story arc and everything, and it was really cool. It was really cool. The Comic Book Prince. Great name. Thank you very much. Do you know who Comic Uno is? No, I do not. Who? Do I need to be enlightened? Oh, Alvin. Hi, Alvin. Alvin actually made it into the end of a video that's going to be posted soon. He was so insistent that he made it in. So you're going to see an Alvin sighting in an upcoming video. I'm trying to organize my time a bit so I can post a bit more. Oh, he's scratching. It's like a horror movie. He's trying to like paw his way in. So what's it about, Matthew? What is it about? Give us the rundown of what it is. Do you all want to see Alvin? He's come around to the other door. There are 2 doors. Alvin. Oh, he's still there. Let me let him in, even though he's going to be a very, very loud. Hold on. You can come in. Come in. Alvin, hi. The people wanted to see you. All right, come on in. You were cuddling with your brother, and it was so nice. You've ruined the whatever you had going on there. They're such brothers that sometimes they're cuddling and they love each other, and other times they're chasing each other around the house. Theo is never in here. It's funny. He'll be in before I stream, and then I'll start streaming and he'll leave. So what do you have to say? You had lots of thoughts in the Nightwing video I was filming earlier. You hear Nightwing, he appears. People are saying he's the noisiest cat you've ever heard. On the other stream, when he showed up, someone asked if he was a duck. Oh, poor Alvin. Oh, yeah. Decibel Film is saying Alvin is sounding spookily human there. Sometimes because cats can mimic, right? That's what they're doing. They're mimicking sounds. And these cats were very heavily socialized. So from a very young age, they were with people. And so Alvin can say hello. It's horrifying and I hate it. But every now and again, he'll do hello. It's awful. Sometimes he does it at night. No. It's the first time he ever did it when we first got him. It was so scary. Oh my goodness. Matthew Foster, thank you very much. This is the plot. This is the plot. It's about imagination and what happens to things people imagine when they stop thinking about them. It's really good and highly recommend. A bit wordy. How much is a bit? Like the whole page wordy? Like novel wordy, or just how much is a bit? That does sound fascinating. There are a couple of works that explore ideas like that. I tend to enjoy things like that get all metaphorical and like deep about imagination. I'm instantly thinking about The Never-Ending Story and The Nothing. Good times. Who's read and watched The Never-Ending Story? I can see some of you saying what your pets say. Oh, scary. Dragonberry Mead, thank you very much. Have you watched the 2005 The Batman versus Dracula film? Yes, I have. I really enjoy that movie a lot. When I was talking with Luke, he was like, ew, that movie. I really enjoy that movie. And it's got some really great, scary, like vampire moments in it. It goes pretty hard, especially for a movie of that era. I have very fond memories of Batman versus Dracula. And just in general, it's really cool to see it go there because of the Elseworld story. I mean, it obviously doesn't go as hard as that one, but what can? We should discuss that one of these days. Oh, Artax. No, in a swamp of sadness. Do you think that's where Nathan lives? In the swamp of sadness? Oh. Yes, Dr. Alucard. I remember the first time I watched Helsing, and I was like, Alucard, it's Dracula backwards. Ooh, the depth. I used to have hardbound copies of Helsing. I gave them to my brother, and now I low-key regret it a little bit. I'm glad that he has them. I gave them to him, but I'm kind of like, sometimes I want my Helsing. Yeah, I think the version of the Vampire Joker, Dragon Mead is saying the Vampire Joker is great. I think that version of the Vampire Joker is very cool. In general, I think the Batman has some very solid moments that tend to be a bit overlooked. Because the last time I talked about the animated series was the Batman Brave and the Bold one. We finished off the Owlman episode. And what was interesting there was I used the iconic shot that they reference of Batman holding the gun, but it's Owlman in his old 1940s costume holding the gun. And a lot of people thought that was from the Caped Crusader. And I found that very fascinating. Stanley, thank you very much for the compliment. Tis a wig. This one is one of my favorites, though. I've seen a bunch. There's been a bunch of new ones that have come up on the site that I use, and they're very cute, and they may need to appear. Some of they've got some strange colors, and that's always what I'm into. Especially if it's a color I don't have yet. And there are a couple that are playing in like what I like to call prugly, which are colors that like they should be ugly, but they're pretty. So I call them prugly. There are a couple of prugly ones on there, like, ooh, prugly. Ben Chan is saying Gods and Monsters animated Vampire Batman was fun. The Gods and Monsters universe, I think, was very underrated. That's the one where Kurt Langstrom was Batman. And that was very clever. And I liked what they did there and playing with the fact that in the main universe he was Man-Bat and the fact that he was an actual vampire Batman. There were lots of fun things there. And what they did with Superman and all of those, it was pretty cool. There were a couple of comics, but it never really went anywhere. And I always remember being a bit sad about that because I thought that universe was pretty cool. Like I was saying earlier, I want things to do well. I'm also hoping that things catch on. I'm hoping that for the absolute universe, not even just for me, but just for like younger fans of comics, because it does seem like, I know people overuse the term entry point and that kind of thing, but it does seem like an area for that. I've heard that from younger people. My eldest even thinks like, oh, Batman looks cool. She's like, oh, I like that he's big and muscly. I think he looks cool. So I'm like, I think they can get it out in front of the right people, it could really go. Or it might be one of those things like the New 52. And now years later, you're seeing all these video essays and stuff pop up with people going, I liked the New 52, but they were too young at the time to say anything. And it was just a bunch of people like our age going, boo, New 52. There were some strong moments in the New 52. Vidya Nagonia, thank you very much. The best evil Batman is Matt Wagner's Grendel. Do we agree with that? Is that a statement that people agree with? Who do you think is the best evil Batman? That's a good question because actually we have a fair few to pick from. Stefan is saying, I still don't get how the absolute cape works. Oh, the Superman's? The one that's made of like the dust of Krypton? I am very intrigued as well because that's one of those ideas that is simultaneously both very silly or very cool, depending upon how you think of it. It almost lands entirely upon how you say it, like the cape is made of the dust of his dead world, or like the cape is made of the dust of his dead world. I guess in this, maybe kryptonite is not as big of a thing for him. Maybe he's like Ultraman. Like the great moment when they throw kryptonite, Ultraman eats it. There are so many wonderful panels of Superman eating kryptonite. The other time is during the Kryptonite No More storyline where they turn it, I think, do they turn it into iron? What do they turn it into? But someone tosses it at him, he just eats it. It's so funny. Rat Queen is saying the children yearn for Brickman. Brickman will save us. Oh. Common sense. I don't think you're the first person to ask me about New 52's The Ray lately. There are a couple of New 52 characters I want to focus on a bit more. The Human Bomb is another one, just because I've been looking at Golden Age Human Bomb as well, and I've been doing research. According to my research, so when I did the Firebrand video, there were a bunch of people who came in talking about how the second Firebrand, his retconned in sister, was there because Roy Thomas wanted to use wildfire but couldn't. But I think I found a source that said that he could use her, but chose not to. So I'm going in deep. And by that, I mean, I'm reading the book that I heard that from, and then I'll get back to you. And it might be one of those things where I'm like, this is a video that I'm going to do because it fascinates me. I also found a quote that I'm trying to source that said that Wildfire was the hottest superhero of 1941. I'm sorry, the sexiest superhero. Hottest would have been a pun because she had fire powers, but the sexiest superhero. I'm like, woo, woo, woo. That seems like a bold claim, especially for 1941, and the costumes were going so hard. So I need to corroborate that. The odd one is saying, since it was mentioned, the moon. To the moon, to Batman's moon base. Oh, I'm sorry. You put your neck there. I made you cough. You cough like an old man. That's another thing he does. He coughs like an old man coughing. Why are you a human? Why are you a transformed human in a cat body? Yes, 1941. I like to go back really far for heroes to look at them. I like going back to the golden age. I think it's fun. Dragonberry Mead, Batman doesn't moon people, but Guy Gardner does. That's why he gets knocked out with one punch. Edward Alcantara is asking, who was keeping track of that? I think it was a historian who, looking back, is retroactively saying that she is the hottest superhero of 1941, which is why it needs to be corroborated. I'm like, I don't know if that was the judgment scale. The golden age was truly golden, says Kemda. One of the things I'm working on that you'll see soon is DC released an anthology called I Know What You Did Last Crisis. And it's just a bunch of little insert tales from the various crises. But in it, there's one with Nightwing written by Dan Didio where he kills him. And so I had to look at that and go into the deep lore and make a video on that for you. Oh, Jeremy Nixon is saying, you're the only reason why I like Silver and Golden Age comics. There are some gems there. There really are. I feel like how I got into them was there was a time, and there still is a sentiment that's held by some, that there's nothing of value to be held there, that there's nothing to look at or no reason to look at them. I can't, that's not something I can get behind. And also I think it's such an amazing privilege in the truest sense that so much of the stuff has been preserved and can be looked at. And even if not all of it has aged the best, as they say, there's still things of value inside of many of the works, a lot of it. And in fact, a lot of it is not what people think it is. And I think there's value in going back and tracing and tracking and seeing what has changed, what hasn't, all of those things. I'm fascinated by things like that. Lore is lore. The deep lore. I'm one of those people who plays a video game and has to stop and, go and listen to every tape, read every piece of paper, all of those things. The Anagonia, thank you very much. I feel like I'm the only one who loves the New 52 Harley Quinn with the corset collar and the long stockings. Gives me goth steampunk cabaret vibes. I don't think you're the only one. I've seen that costume float around. I mean, she has so many choices now. I've seen really mixed feelings on the latest one that she has, because she's got a new one. There's a new look with a coat and really high boots and the like. I rarely get to fully look at it because I'm so distracted by the fact that the solicits are written in what's supposed to be her voice. Ryan is asking, could you look at more Wonder Woman Golden Age comics? There's a lot out there there's a lot of out there stuff because the creator's philosophy is Golden Age Wonder Woman is fascinating. I always enjoy looking at Golden Age Wonder Woman. One of my favorite things, I've done it a few times, but not enough as of late. I like looking at her Golden Age villains because there are so many interesting ones there. And then when Robert Kanigher takes over, he just gets rid of most of them. So there's a bit of a drought for villains for her, or at least the perception that she has none. And I find that has carried forward from that era. So thanks, Robert Kanigher. So there's a lot of interesting things to Wonder Woman, a lot of weight that she carries because of that, both in the positive and the negative. And I think that's one of the interesting things that's going to come from Absolute Wonder Woman, because that's one of the pushbacks I'm seeing from a lot of people, is that they don't want her to move away from that all encompassing, being all things base, because this one does seem to be pushing her a bit more warrior ward. So we shall see. I have not read that one as of yet, so we'll see. I'm excited to see how all of that shapes up, especially the whole raised by Cersei thing. I think that could be fun, or it could be a disaster. We shall see. Common Sense, thank you very much. You know, Kid Eternity kept his New 52 origins. He was last seen in Batman Urban Legends. I did know that. I actually did. I did see him pop up in Batman Urban Legends because I was reading that, and then they like softcore rebooted it into the Brave and the Bold thing. Kid Eternity is another old character who is very, very interesting. Kid Eternity's been around for a long time. There are a lot of characters that have been around for a long time. What year did Kid Eternity debut? We'll find out right now. No, I don't need more Baldur's Gate mods. I have enough. No, I don't. That's not true. I'll never have enough Baldur's Gate mods. 1942, Otto Binder. So you know that it's wild. I'm always excited when I see that it's Otto Binder. I'm like, oh man, who's turning into a horse today? Oh. There we go. Oh, I remember the roller derby. I remember when Harley was really big into roller derby. Roller derby had its era. There are certain trends and fads, and you see them kind of play out in the characters where it gets popular. Saika is asking, ever think of making a versus character vids? No, that is the domain of those of like power scalers and the like, and they occupy it well. Those are fun if you want to see like a versus type thing. I enjoy that kind of thing. Hi, are you settled? No, you're never settled, and that's okay. So, aside from comics, what characters are we enjoying right now? What's the percentage of things that you're reading? I know it's going to be skewed because my channel tends to skew a bit more heavily DC than Marvel, but what are you reading more of? And again, that's not a like, boo, Marvel. That's not what it is at all. I like a lot of Marvel comics, although I saw something today in an article where I was reading about the Metamorpho and the way the storytelling is going to be in that. And apparently it's going to be a bit more of an episodic type nature, which is cool. But they described that form of storytelling as Silver Age, as though the only thing that distinguishes the Silver Age from other ages is it has more episodic storytelling. And that was just so not true that it hurt me. And then I realized I was being a snob. I was, nose in the air, pinky out. I was the comic store guy. It's like, don't turn into the Simpsons comic book guy. Don't do it. Common Sense, thank you very much. What's your thoughts on Grant Morrison's 90s Kid Eternity? I do have thoughts and feelings on that. Like a lot of Morrison's work when it comes to updating things from earlier eras to later eras, and it's gonna be interesting to say, because it's not about the grimdark edge that a lot of things do take on, because there are some things that are grimdark that I do like. It's more about the taking of things that didn't have that original flavor and inserting it there. I think the easiest example that most people would be familiar with for that would probably be Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, in that comes back so warped from its original source that it could be anything. And now we live in the era of the update of that with failsafe. And I think finally we can do the updated Zur-En-Arrh video, because with the end of Absolute Power 4, I think there's time. It's finally time. Ernesto is saying the new Witchblade is great. I've been enjoying the new Witchblade as well. It's been a good time. I've been liking Witchblade. It's just been quietly doing its thing. There are a bunch of things that are just quietly doing their things. My nose is itchy now, and I'm worried that Alvin has got cat hair all over me. I don't know if I'll recover. Chemdog, I did. I mentioned it briefly earlier in the stream. I did pick up The Moon is Following Us. That one's one that's getting a bit of buzz, and I was happy to see that. I was like, ooh, people are talking about. I don't know if it's just because I'm so online all the time, but I feel like there's more like talking. I feel like more people are talking about comics than usual. Does anybody else feel that way? I mean, I feel like we might all be biased because we're in a comic space, but let me know. Do you hear anything like for outside of the spaces you normally frequent? Oh, the Alvin who laughs. Don't scare me. Don't scare me. Oh, JDSCT. Have you checked out Hyde Street? I made a whole video on Hyde Street. So yes, I did. Count Juan is saying I did just start Fatal, enjoying it so far. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I'm always happy when somebody checks me out and they're like, I'm enjoying it. And I'm like, I hate it. Why did you do this to me? Although that can be valuable in its own way. Do any of you have a critic like that where their taste is almost the opposite to yours? Like, it's terrible. And you're like, I'll like it. Thank you. I have a couple of people like that where the taste is just opposite, but they're so entertaining that it's fun to watch them anyway. Samuel Lloyd, don't put that song in my head. Then it'll be there all evening. I'll never get Queen out of my head. Stanley is saying, unfortunately, no, you might be biased. I think I am biased. Oh, dear. Like I said earlier in the stream, I'm in too deep. Ooh, and if you want to get even deeper. So Amanda and I were talking the last time we streamed about distillery, and she took the plunge and found some distillery books at her local store. And there are some distillery books that I've been eyeing, but I need to find the ones that don't have so much nudity so that I can share them with you. But it might be fun to do a distillery stream. Because of course, the first one I was like was Somna. And I was like, I can't show most of Somna because the significant part of that is her sleeping with the devil. So like Penny Dreadful, which I liked. I liked Penny Dreadful. I'm still figuring out how I feel about Somna, but the art in it was absolutely stellar. So Kev's Collectibles. Yeah, everybody has bias for sure. The trick is just knowing when you do have it. So like my bias is definitely that I like comics. So I'm more prone to be in spaces where people are talking about comics. So it can be harder to get an accurate gauge about how much people who are not involved in the space are talking about it. Therese, thank you very much. Are you thinking of covering The Penguin? I'm thinking of watching it. I'm not thinking about covering it. So I don't think I will be. Oh, Javi, that's the one that Amanda picked up. She said the same thing. I think I need to check it out. That's two people who have given the review of Wild. So that's the kind of thing I can get behind. Let me catch up with all of you. Dante Cook, thank you very much. The new Witchblade is great and needs more love, but the Black Label Zatanna is awesome. They did not waste the Black Label opportunity. I'm enjoying the Zatanna book as well. A lot of people are. That's another thing that went and got a second printing, because like I know they print a certain amount, the amount they think that they're going to sell. So it's nice to see that there is more interest, because I've heard the story more than once. So again, this is the thing where I'm like, I think it might be my corner, but I've heard some people, for example, in the DC All In special, they said they went to try and get it, but they couldn't find it because it wasn't there. So I do think that people are looking for it. I think that means that there must be some kind of little hype. I don't think it's just wishful thinking on my part, although it totally could be. It totally could be. Oh, I'm glad to see so many people are enjoying things. People are saying The Penguin's good. JB Triple Eight saying I'm enjoying Agatha all along. Ben Chan is saying, but is she grumpy? A little bit. I mean, I don't know if she's as grumpy as the Lantern will be, but a little bit. Yeah, Therese, I think so too. That might be it. It might be because the adaptations are ramping up a little bit again, and there's some excitement building in those corners. So maybe it's that. Yeah, Matthew Foster, I've heard good things about Storm. I have heard good things about Storm. See, Martin Jackson, I'll never know. I'll never know. Oh, Adrian Parchman is saying, been reading Harrow County. I just read through all of Harrow County and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really cool and really well done. And had, in my opinion, a bit of a lull in the second volume, but then came back super strong and just finished. I was about to say finished hard. And I was like, well, I already said it. I said what I said. mm. Sergio Reeves is saying lots of content prepping for Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts in the next year. Fantastic Four has just been quietly keeping on, doing its thing. It's built up a hardcore little art. Why can't I stop saying the word hard tonight? But it's, it's doing its thing, and that's fun to see. It's not my favorite Fantastic Four run, but it has some fun moments in it, and I'm just really happy to see that people are resonating with it. Oh, Patrick, I'm reading so much. Patrick is saying, sorry, just jumping in. What comics are you reading right now? So many. I am ongoing reading a lot of things. a lot of things. I just finished, as I was saying just a few minutes ago, Harrow County. I've been reading through Feral, been keeping up with Local Man. I read through Rogue Planet. Actually, I read a bunch of Cullen Bunn stuff recently. I was trying to, for the second rec list I wanted to have it have a bit of a different theme, because I realized the first one ended up inadvertently having a lot of works that had a juxtaposing art style with thematic content. So I was like, well, I want to, maybe for this one, let's go a bit more traditional. Maybe this will be a bit more body horror, a bit more traditional horror. Then of course I ended up reading something that was not that, like The Man Who Came Down from the Attic, which was very, very, very good, very upsetting, but very specific to a certain issue. So I'm not sure if it would resonate the same way with everybody, because that one was targeting a very specific thing. So I'm not sure if everybody would resonate with it, because it's set in the 1950s. And it's very much working through that horrific era where to give birth, women were, and it's like they were rendered unconscious, so that you just woke up and the baby was there. It was actually really traumatic. It was more traumatic than going through the process of birth. We're not going to go into that. No one wants to hear about that. So yeah, I've heard good things about Hello Darkness, Jeremy Nixon. We're getting so far into these Queen lyrics in the chat. I'm impressed with Samuel for keeping it going this long. Figment has a good question for everybody. A question came up today. Do you guys think Alfred should stay dead? I'm going to say no. Alfred's died before. He died in the Silver Age. One of the first things that Julius Schwartz did when he took over the book was kill Alfred. And he came back in a really ludicrous fashion. I personally don't think Alfred should stay dead. There are characters I still wish were dead, but Alfred is not one of them. Who do you still wish was dead? That's dark, but it's spooky month. So why not? I think some of you already know who I think should be dead. But who do you think is a character? Doesn't matter the company, doesn't have to be DC. Who's a character that's died that you think should still be dead? Jeremy Nixon says Jason was better dead. Ben Chan is saying he should come back as a zombie, but still be Bruce's butler. Zombie butler. Rat Queen says Hal Jordan. More for Jason. Let's see. Well, Paul. Would it be a stream if someone didn't find a way to insult Paul somehow? He's not even mentioned, and then someone comes in and just goes, Paul. Every time. Let's see. Jason Todd, all caps. Hank Pym should have stayed dead. Bruce's parents. Damien. Damien's harsh. Whenever I think about Damien's death, I'm like, that was a lot. Little boy skewered. Jean Grey. Jean Grey's one that I actually think should have stayed dead. Alex Combs says, all my homies hate Paul. Grindar saying dead man should stay dead. I'm on the Jason train. As much as I love the Under the Hood storyline, I do like that story a lot. And sometimes I think Jason being alive can contribute a lot. On the whole, though, I think he contributed more dead, and that's really harsh to say. And people are like, oh, how could you say that? But no, and I say that as someone who likes Jason. I think Jason should be dead. Ernesto is saying Alfred's dead. Oh no, Alfred's been dead. Ben Riley. Oh, that's an interesting choice. I like Ben Riley alive. Balls Monkey is saying Colossus probably should have stayed dead. Oh, part of me wishes that Hal was dead. That sounds so dramatic. But even though I love so much of what has happened since she came back to life. So that one I'm so on the fence about. But it's Chasm. Well, I mean, I don't love Chasm. I like saying Chasm, though. I like Hallows Eve more than I like Chasm. Ben Chan is saying Jean Grey, but the first time. Barry Allen. I can hardcore agree with Barry Allen. I'll let Hal live so Barry can die. I think Barry should have stayed dead more than Hal. I think Barry's death was more significant, and I think that Wally moved into the role better than Kyle, even though I do think Kyle was really occupying that space as well. Justice for Kyle. Poor Kyle. He got shoved ahead, not ahead. He got shoved off to the side so hard, especially in Rebirth. I like Green Lantern Rebirth, but that whole section where Hal comes back is just like, you were keeping the spot for me. And Kyle's like, you were always the best. It's like, I will always remember the Silver Age Hal Jordan, which is how I came to enjoy Hal Jordan, where he's getting knocked out because a villain threw a yellow lamp at him and stuff like that. Daredevil and Wolverine. Common Sense is asking, do you think Bruce Banner should stay dead? Yes or no? I feel like this is such a morbid conversation, but I'm loving it. Alvin, what do you think? What do you think? Alvin's glaring at me. He's like, everyone. Every single person. Balls Monkey is saying Thunderbird should have stayed dead. I'd agree with Thunderbird as well. Yeah. Javi is saying he just wants to be remembered for the planes he flew. Ramiro is saying, I'm going to say this retroactively. Iron Man in the MCU, you're preparing. You're getting ready. Dakin or Dakin, however you pronounce it, should have stayed dead. That Helverine idea has overstayed its welcome. It's just because it's so fun to say Helverine. Helverine is just fun to say. The odd one is saying, I do enjoy Barry being alive, though. Here's the thing, and this is where it's so interesting, the generational nature of comics. There's a whole generation of people who didn't experience the ascent of Wally West. And so for them, again, Barry is the Flash. And so then when you come in, or like general you, not like you specifically, and are like Wally West, they're like, why? Barry Allen's the Flash. So it's really fascinating to see that. The same with Hal. There's a whole group of people who don't have experience with Kyle, especially Kyle more so than Wally, because they still do more things with Wally than they do with Kyle. Yeah, see, Figment is saying, I grew up with Barry. That's the thing. Depending upon when you came to comics, that's one of the things I enjoy about the channel so much, is that I have a really large demographic split. So I have people from the high school age to up into their 70s and beyond. So everybody's coming at it from a different vantage point. And that's really fun, because I get to hear all kinds of different stories and different things and different people's experiences. And it's been exciting with the DC All In stuff to see new people arrive. People who are like, ooh, I've never read a comic before, and this has got me hype. And I think that's really fun. I think that's really cool, especially in this era when there are so many other pieces of entertainment out there competing, and so many awesome pieces of entertainment too. Like, that's not to put down anything else. I think that the rise of some of those other things are really cool. Like the indie horror gaming space right now is amazing. That's so fun. I love what's going on there. Like games like mouthwashing and the latest farming, the really cool farming one that came out. That was really cool. There's a lot of cool games going on at the moment. Do any of you game? You also game? Do you even game, bro? Balls Monkey is saying, it's weird because I knew Barry and Hal first from Super Friends, but in the comics at the time it was Wally and Kyle, so I knew them both. You know, those remasters are coming out of the Super Friends. I, for one, am excited about that. Jeremy Nixon is saying the Doctor Who effect. Everyone has their own favorite version. It's a bit different than the Doctor Who effect because for some, like, they've come around again. You know, it's like Hal, Kyle, Hal. Although then it's also maybe there are people who like those other lanterns that don't get as much play, like Simon. Oh, Simon. Let's see what people are doing. I'm a VR gamer. I can't do VR. It gives me a headache. The technology is not there for me as of yet. I really can't do it. Oh, Simon and Jessica, that comic where they were a duo was fun. Sorry, I just agreed. Like you can all read the side chat. Some of you can. I do that during interviews too sometimes. I feel like I say too much. I'm like, It's just because I like people to know that they're being listened to. There's nothing worse than when you look and it feels like the person isn't listening to you. So I'm like, I need to give a cue so that they know that I'm listening because I'm really interested. I'm listening with rapt attention. I see that Samuel has almost made it through the entirety of Bohemian Rhapsody in the chat, which is kind of impressive. So where are we on because the theory is floating out there that some people feel that, and I kind of feel echoes of it too, that the absolute universe has some vibes of the New 52. Where do you feel on that in terms of the energy behind it, not in terms of exact details of what is going on? We're still talking about like the Flash. Whenever we bring up the Flash, it's going to go on for a little bit. I don't know why my screen is flickering so much tonight. The internet is questionable. I guess it wants to add to the spooky atmosphere. Balls Monkey is saying totally giving off New 52 energy. Kev's Collectibles is saying, I've not heard that, but now that concerns me. Oh no. It is the ghost, or it's Alvin. He's summoning his energies. Patrick McCarthy is asking, oh, what's coming out from the Absolute Youth series? I thought it wasn't starting until the end of October. No, it's starting next week. Next week, we start with Absolute Batman #1 on Wednesday. And then later in the month, we get Wonder Woman. And then November 6th, we get Superman. I was rechecking the dates so that I could properly organize my schedule and get ahead of everything and make sure everything is filmed and ready so that because I have to manage a bunch of different things at the same time. Oh, is it a solar storm tonight? Is it actually? Who was here for that stream when we had the really bad vocals because of that? We couldn't even stream. The mic sounded, people said like it was like peanuts. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. That haunts me. I live in the fear of that. Common Sense is saying, I wonder why Absolute Superman got delayed to November. I think that they staggered them so that they don't compete with each other. And this is just my theory, a game theory. This is a comic theory. This is just my theory that so that they don't cannibalize each other, because this way they can kind of build hype, hopefully off of each other. And so, because then you have Batman first, which is the one people are probably most excited for. Then you have a gap. Then you have Wonder Woman. Then in the interim, it can be reprinted for Batman. Then you can run the hype machine for Wonder Woman. Then after that, you can run the hype machine for Superman. Then hopefully they should, in theory, marketing logic, all hype each other up. So I actually think it's better to not have them all launch the same day. It's the same logic behind dropping a show all at once or dropping it weekly. And I think long term, the weekly or the staggered model is the better choice. What do you all think? What do you think of that? What do you think of the theory? Ben Chan saying, you mean like the current avalanche of X title? Yeah, like the X title. I'm overwhelmed. But even just thinking about the fact that, okay, this week is Batman. 2 weeks later, it's Wonder Woman. 2 weeks later, it's Superman. It feels more manageable. You know, Caps Collectibles is saying weekly fan theories are too fun. Yeah, that thing too, because it allows people the space to breathe and talk about it. I personally think it's the stronger marketing strategy long term. And there's definitely been a lot of marketing for this. The hustle has been insane. Watching Scott Snyder run around and do all those interviews and post all those things. I'm like, I am tired for him. That was just so much. That was a lot. Jeremy Nixon is saying they should cannibalize. It would please Darkseid. Darkseid is waiting for his time in the spotlight. I really hope they do a bunch of stuff with Booster Gold. I was so excited to see Booster treated seriously and not as a joke. For those who've been around for a while know that Booster is one of my top superheroes. At one point, he was my absolute favorite superhero. So it was really cool to see Booster be treated with that kind of importance and weight. I was like, oh my God, somebody else cares about Booster. There are dozens of us. Oh, that reminds me, one of the other things that I read was the Joker the World, which was all the different Joker stories from around the world. That was very fascinating. That was an interesting experience for sure. Yes, Silhouette saying I want something with the Legion. Yes, I think that would be really fun. And they're reprinting some of that for the DC's Finest editions as well. I saw Legion things, a couple of different Legion things. Maybe now is the time for the Legion. Maybe they can fully return. Mr. Branley is saying canceling Booster Gold was one of my issues with the New 52. Yeah. Booster series was good. That series was really good, and they still haven't properly fully collected it. And anytime I see Booster, I'm like, let this be the time that Booster's popularity skyrockets and they collect all of Booster's things. I'll be that sale or the Booster Gold omnibus. Grendar is saying we need Karen Starr. Absolute power. Dante Cook, thank you very much. Just want to say good job with all the interviews. The most recent Barbarella one was so fun. It sold me on giving the run a shot and pre-ordering it. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying to get better with each one. I'm trying to, make them just improve each time. So I'm glad to hear that you've been enjoying them. That one was really fun to do, and I was really glad that we were able to loop Anna in, because initially we weren't sure if she was going to be able to make it, but it's so valuable to have both the writer and the artist when you can, and to get those different perspectives. And it was so nice because they had this really positive collaborative experience together. So it was really cool, and that book is fun. I have had the chance to read it, so I think you'll really enjoy it. I like Barbarella a lot, and I've read the translated editions of the original stuff, not the original in French, which is something I want to do at some point if I can track them down. But I think it's really cool that the property is still going, and the way it's evolved, and the fact that the original owner is still involved in it and the like. I think is really, really cool. I really want to track it down in French, though, because one of the things about translations is that there are certain things that just don't translate, certain colloquialisms or phrases. And so it's always interesting to see what the original vibe was, if you can. Sergio Reese saying, Booster Gold, don't you mean Green Lantern? Booster Gold, the greatest hero you've never heard of. Dragon Mead's asking, how do you feel about Darkseid's upside down text? I don't mind it so much. I actually prefer upside down text to mirrored text. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. There was a Green Lantern issue during the Grant Morrison run where the text was mirrored. So backwards. And it happened a fair bit. And it was for the Antimatter Cord universe, the one where Antimatter Hal was with Antimatter Sinestro and they were in a relationship. But I was just really distracted by the text. I don't know. I felt that happened a bit too much, but I didn't mind the upside down text. So I'm like, is it just because it was backwards? I don't know. I don't. Please tell me I'm not the only person who read that, by the way. I feel like nobody brings that up. So, but it was a thing that happened. I feel like nobody talked about it. Logan, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You can't see it here on the screen, but I can see the super sticker, and it's a really cute lemon, like a non-menacing Earl of Lemon Grab. It's appreciated. Somebody else read that. Ben Chan, yay, I'm not alone. I'm glad I wasn't the only one who read it. Sometimes I feel alone in a void. What, Boostle? The pairing of Booster Gold and Ted Cord? Like the ship? I made a video about that ship back in my Shipper's Guide days. Aeon's is saying, I'm always thinking about Sinestro and Hal together. Like, just in the main universe. Just constantly. Common Sense, thank you very much. Will you have an interview with Joelle Jones and talk about her Yara Floor series? What happens behind the scenes and what stories that Jones had planned? I'll talk to anybody who wants to talk to me, you know. So I'm pretty down for people who want to have a chat, you know, whoever that is. Not, I don't know who does or who doesn't. So I have a couple of things that are booked coming up, so that's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. It's really nice to be able to talk about the creative process and get that insight into what people are thinking. Everybody has such different things, and that's one of the most fun and rewarding things is all the people I've talked to have different philosophies and processes, and that's been so fascinating. And when you hear that and you see their work, you can see that reflected inside of it, and that's just really cool to kind of see that unpacked like that. I do have one that I'm setting up with Pierre J. Tomasi for and Francis Manipal for Ghost Machine. So that should be a good time. Hopefully I think we've got that hammered out. So that should be good. Yes, it is Sinhal. I know it's Sinhal, not Halestro. Even though actually saying it out loud, Halestro is kind of more fun to say as a ship name. Yes, for Rockefellers. Actually, it's because a bunch of you said you were interested in Rockefellers, so I thought that would be a fun one to do and that you'd be interested in hearing about that. So I'm excited. I'm humbled. I'm humbled that people want to come on and chat on the channel. So it floors me. It blows my mind. And whenever anybody says that they like the channel, you see my brain shut down in real time every single time. Every time. Oh. What are we talking about on the side? Oh, we've moved on. We've moved on to Queen songs. We're at a new Queen song. James Bunce, that's a good question. Wouldn't Antimatter Zatanna's speech be normal speech? It's just forward and nobody else knows what she's saying. That would be a fun joke. I'm not sure everybody would get it. Ayance is asking, have you interviewed Jeremy Adams? I have not, but Dom of X recently did a very fun interview with Jeremy Adams. I feel like if I did one, it would just be like, so, the Sorrow Lantern. The Sorrow Lantern. And Hal and Carol, why are they such a glorious hot mess? I've seen people say though, like that run has sold them on Hal and Carol more than anything. And I'm like, really? That's so fascinating to me because they are the biggest disaster, but maybe that is a beautiful disaster. I'm enjoying that series very much. Oh, Toy Foxy, no, I have not. Oh, did you see that he tweeted about your Sorrow Lantern video? No, I don't really use Twitter. I post links to my vids and I'm in and out. So it's just like boop boop. I'm in and out. Just Twitter in general has not been the best experience overall. Not even just for me personally, just the atmosphere of it, I find hasn't been very productive. I don't know how different it is now. I know things have changed since it's Xified and the like, but so I never know anything that's happening on there. I'm very in my own little bubble and space. Oh. Everybody's saying no, it's worse. Well, I never felt like I was missing anything, but I do like to inform the people that follow me there that, who have taken the time to follow me there, that I post things. It's been a while. I'm like, I should really do that. I'm trying to be a better social media user and internet person. Dragonberry Mead, thank you very much. Have you seen the Joker 2 movie? Not yet. I would like to. I doubt I will have the time to see it in theaters, but I'll get to it eventually. Everybody's saying no. Harley X Forever, do you have a Tumblr? I do. I've been on Tumblr for a long time, but as a lurker. That is my natural state, lurking. I'm everywhere lurking. I'm that person who's always lurking, but not on Twitter. I'm just not on that like at all. But I'm kind of on Tumblr, like for fan art and stuff like that. Fan art, fan theories. I was big on LiveJournal back in the day, but Twitter, no. I'm more on TikTok than I am on Twitter, actually. Tumblr's still a thing. Her secret identity, the lurker. Was that costume just a cloak? Just an overhead cloak. Oh my gosh, Facebook. I haven't logged on to Facebook in forever. I heard that Facebook is mostly bots now. I don't even know if that's true or not. She's a watcher. Let me see. Some of you are talking about what you're still on. Ben Chan saying, I can't talk. I'm on DeviantArt. Comic Dog, thank you very much. Michael Walsh Frankenstein, the Monsterverse, like the Monster Universe stuff that's going on. I've heard good things about Frankenstein. I read the Dracula one. I'm hoping that somebody does a new graphic novel version of Carmilla. There was kind of an updated one by Amy Chu, but I think it would be cool for a gothic Carmilla at some point. I'm barely on Discord. Oh, there's so many stories that start with, so there was this Discord chat, and there's like, nope. Nope. Also, it's just that there's no time. I don't know. I don't have time. This is a good question, Ben Chan. Thank you very much. Top 3 heroes you want to get the absolute treatment. That sounds very dramatic, like they're about to go in for a procedure. But everybody can answer this. Of the ones that haven't been announced yet, who would you like to see an absolute version of? So this absolute, based on what we've seen of absolute so far and the thesis put out there of a dark side energied universe, what heroes would you like to see that haven't already been announced? Because we've already got Green Lanterns, which is one thing I wanted to see. We've already got The Flash, which is another thing I wanted to see. So who else? Who else would be fun? I'm so tempted to just turn around and look at my shelf. I would like it if there was a booster series of him like trying to survive on that Earth. I think that would be cool. Sergio Rude's absolute wave rider. Absolute Captain Atom, says Common Sense. Sideways. Like now is the time for Sideways. Absolute Vigilante is just a great name. That just sounds like that has all the edge in the name already. Ooh, Starman. Oh, I think Starman could be absolute. Absolute Sandman, like the Wesley Dodds version. I don't know if the JSA ones would work so well, or if you need more powered people. Absolute Deadman is another one that would just be a great title. Absolute Shadow. So you're just coming out with great titles now. Like, we're just basing this entirely off of the titles. Aquaman would be cool. Just in general, having more Aquaman around. Silhouette, all caps. Absolute Shazam. Absolute Doom Patrol. Absolute Metal Man. Absolute Blue Beetle. I can see a cool design for that. I can see a really cool design because Jaime already has, like, Jaime's Blue Beetle, I think already has a really cool design. So if you were to play on that a little bit more, I think you could get something really, really cool. Absolute Teen Titans, Absolute Zatanna. See, I think there's lots of things that you could do. Do you want to leave, Alvin? Is that what it is? You want me to let you out? I'll open the door. Alvin wants to leave. We're not interesting anymore. You can leave anytime. Comics for Blame is saying, does no one answer absolute JLA? Well, one of the things that people were saying they were having a hard time suspending their idea of disbelief about was the idea that a dark side fueled world would have superheroes at all. Oh, Brad, no, he is happy. That's his happy sound. That's how Alvin sounds when he's happy. Oh, he's gone now. I'm closing the door, though, because he can't be in and out like that. It's too much. You'll know he'll want to come back in because he's a cat, and that's how they operate. But how do you feel about that rationale that it wouldn't have heroes? I think it still would, because otherwise there would be no challenge, and there would be no fun, and it would be stagnant. And one of the things when he decided that he wanted to make this change and end to start the new universe was that he didn't want to stagnate. So I feel like having a world where there was no opposition. Also, if there's no opposition, then you can never truly crush hope, because it can't be hopeless unless people have a tiny smidgen of an idea that maybe they could move or do something. So I feel like you would need that in that world. Brian Harrison, you revoked your invitation. No, if he really, really wants to come back. Ooh, the odd ones is Challengers of the Absolute. That's another good title. You've got so many great titles in the chat. Ben Chan is saying Absolute Lois Lane series. She's just married to a different handsome person each issue. That's just regular Lois Lane. That's regular Silver Age Lois Lane. Ooh, Absolute Space Cabbie. I love Space Cabbie. Space Cabbie, when it was just the adventures, they were so good. There were so many. I wrote and never filmed. I just knocked my mic. I wrote and never filmed the Space Cabbie retrospective because I think the Space Cabbie is so interesting. He has an interesting history, the evolution. He was a pretty significant character on Justice League Action, which is an animated series that I feel that not many people watched, but was another one that had its moments. There were some fun moments on that show, and also it's another series with Kevin Conroy as Batman. So if you're looking for that was there. I thought that one was pretty solid. Punk Among Hicks, absolutely great name. Absolutely all in. Yeah, there are some fun ideas here. There's some really fun ideas. Absolute Wonder Tot, so just Trinity, because now Trinity is split into the 3 different versions. Absolute Deathstroke. How do you feel about the idea they're adapting? They're planning to do a movie with Deathstroke and who else? Because now they're frightening me, because now they're in that stage where they're just starting to announce things. I'm like, uh-oh. Like on the film side, like half of these things might not be made. I've been here before. Bane. It was Bane. Deathstroke and Bane. Yeah, Stanley, you're right. Space Cappy was in the Harley Quinn animated series as well. He had more traditional role in Justice League Action, the more like his Silver Age adventures, which was fun. It's ferrying people from place to place as they get into all kinds of shenanigans. Commandi is someone I have not thought about in a while, David Sharp. I have thought about Kazar, though, because they're doing that rogue Savage Land thing. Chris Cassio is saying, rumors I've been hearing is that it's going to be a Secret Six movie. That would be cool. That'd be fun. I enjoyed pre-New 52 Secret Six a lot. Not so much post New 52 Secret Six, which we ended up talking about when we were talking about Shauna, who I think we're going to be able to do an update on soon for Shauna Belzer, the grotesque ventriloquist. Is what a secret? Do we have secrets? Secrets in the chat. Harley X Joker Forever is asking, is anyone looking forward to the Jason and Dick movie? How do people feel about that? I posted about that, and there were some various reactions in the comments. Some people were very vehemently against using Jason, which I found fascinating. I'm curious what direction it's like, if it materializes, I'm curious what direction it will go in. Ben Chan saying, I need to know more. Like, I need more info. There's not enough. Dante Cook says, wait, what? I know, see? There's so many announcements. It's hard to keep up. That's why I feel like things are ramping up again. It's not just me. I'm not just inside a little bias cocoon. It's happening. Like that Office meme. It's happening. Jason and Dick. I don't think that name would fly. They're not calling it that. It's called Dynamic Duo. That's the working title we put out there. It's called Dynamic Duo. Mr. Kent is saying depends on the animation style. Ben Chan is saying, will Bane / Deathstroke end up fighting Dick / Jason? We'll have to see. I'm on the same side as I need more info. I need to know more. I need to see some pics or it didn't happen. Brad Bauer is saying, I was not a fan of the animation for Crisis. Me neither. Not so much. That really was very kind of came and went. It had some solid moments, though. I teared up a little bit at the last Kevin Conroy voice performance. It was sweet. Dragonberry Mead trying to get me in trouble, trying to get me to demonetize my stream. You'd be amazed what demonetizes a stream. It's happened a few times. One of the ones was where Amanda and I discussed those issues where Roy Harper is on drugs in the Green Lantern Hard Traveling Heroes era. Let's see what all of you are saying. Christina's saying maybe it'll be like the Bat Family webtoon. One can hope. We can dream. That series is so fun. I'm still very much enjoying that series a lot. And that one's been pretty consistently being released in hard copy as well. So if you're more of a wanting to hold it, and it's reformatted fairly decently. That was one of the things I was concerned about because it doesn't have as many backgrounds how it would format for a hardbound, but it formats pretty well. Kavinsky, how do they know to demonetize? Oh, they're running AI things and stuff all the time. Or some, like, either that happens and it flags certain words, or it might come up in the title and thumb. They're said too much in the chats or those kind of things because it's running algorithmically. Alternatively, someone reports it. Usually it's picked up algorithmically in the chat, though they're always running all kinds of AI models looking for certain things, and the AI can't really contextualize what's going on. So you can always appeal it at that point and see, and then in theory, a human looks at it, in theory, and then sometimes it's reversed at that point. Common sense, thank you very much. From DCU updates, Lex Luthor might not be the main villain, Absolute Superman. Which Superman villain would you want to see an Absolute Superman? For you, it's the Conduit. For a Superman who's come to Earth as an adult in an absolute universe ruled by Darkseid, I still think he has to face Darkseid. I do. I'm very curious as to how they're going to play the fact that he has arrived as an adult and how they're going to differentiate him from just going on a Supergirl route. I'm very curious about that. Because he's still been positioned, at least in the DC Special Issue #1, as potentially an emblem of hope. So I think that in the context of the universe as they've presented it, that has the potential to be very interesting, especially if he's angrier. I mean, you saw his hair. It's so floppy. He's got that emo hair. Kev's Collectibles is saying absolute metallo. Casey Johnson, thank you very much. Pre-New 52 Secret 6 is the best DC team book ever. Changed my mind. I really enjoyed that series as well, so I will not try and change your mind. I thought that book was a lot of fun. That was during that era when I started collecting. That was when I had first really started to hone in on what trades I wanted to start collecting, and then the New 52 happened. I had just figured it out. So I have a bunch of New 52 volume 1s and then not continuations. Same with Rebirth. That's what a bunch of the regrets are, where I just have a volume 1. It's like Batgirl volume 1. What I have Batgirl volume 1 of is the Burnside era. Jeremy Nixon is asking, would the Absolute Bizarro just be regular Superman? What I'm hoping is that firstly, I hope people respond well to it. And so I hope that the Absolute Universe gets time to be on its own. And I don't need it to cross over with the main universe anytime soon. I actually like that they're doing the two separate things. And I hope it doesn't just end up culminating in some kind of like when they did Tangent. And then there was a big Tangent crossover event when they fought the evil Superman from Tangent. And then you just didn't really hear about Tangent anymore. So please don't be that. I don't think it will be, because Tangent series are more like one-offs. They didn't have the same kind of longevity that they're looking for here. Because I remember when we did our interview with Scott Snyder, he said that they've like scripted like 12 issues up and stuff. So would you want to see absolute Swamp Thing? Franklin is asking. I'm always down to see Swamp Thing in any capacity. If you want to see some Swamp Thing, you can be reading Poison Ivy, which is just quietly keeping on, keeping on. Brian Harry is saying absolute crisis is inevitable. I know. I know it probably is. It's such a good name. The name is too good. Ramiro is saying, I hope we get a ginger actor to play Jason and dye his hair, but he's clearly ginger. You want that deep cut? Someone got into an argument with me, or tried to, like, because I don't tend to try and argue with people on the internet, but about whether Jason really had ginger hair or not, or whether it was blonde. I'm like, I think that it was red, but I don't think it was like as red as Morrison made it later on, but I think it was still red. Crisis on Absolute Earth, says Mr. Brain. Stop. The titles are too good. You're willing it into existence. Even though they're definitely going to have to go there, because they set up the membership card that he infused with the energy is the gateway. I mean, they sent Booster over there, and Superman, who was super friendly with him, was all like, Michael. Well, what about Michael? It's so rare to hear people who aren't Ted Cord call him by his actual name, or Batman. Batman calls him by his name sometimes. But again, they were also on the same Justice League team for a bit. I mean, so was Superman for a little bit. It's just I'm so used to the original dynamic where Superman had this era where he was he was super disappointed in people who didn't have their lives together. So like Michael, Hal, Superman yelling at Hal that he doesn't have an apartment lives rent free in my head. Who's Michael? Oh, Michael is Booster's name. that's it. See, that's how few people call him that. That's Booster Gold's name. Yeah, because when he's recruiting him, he's like Michael. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Because I remember it was a big moment when Booster was going back in time and trying to save Ted Cord, and he has this breakdown in front of Batman, and Batman's like, Michael, what's wrong? It's like this big moment because like nobody calls him that. Christina's giving the mind blown. Yeah, that's right, David Sharp. Michael John Carter. Dragonberry me to say Superman judges you for not having your life together. That's right. He has his life together. Christina's saying I didn't even know or think he had a real name. You see, that's how few people use it, unless they're Ted Cord. And there was a Ted Cord mention in this before he goes off through the portal. He's like, don't tell Ted. He already like worries too much. And I'm like, yeah, Ted will have another heart attack. Don't tell him. Oh, Spitzkoff Larry, do you plan to go to NYC? No, I'm not. I'm not going to New York Comic Con. Not this year. I am not traveling as of yet. But hopefully next year I'll get out a bit more. And this year I'm trying to be a bit more sociable, online, streaming more, collabing a bit more, being less of a hermit in my shell. So far, so good. Fingers crossed. What about on the Marvel side? Because we've been talking a lot about DC, obviously, but what are people reading there? Like, I know some people are reading X-Force. You're keeping up with all of that stuff. I'm still keeping up with all of the Ultimate books and the like. There are a bunch of events that are happening right though that I'm not really keeping up so much, like Venom War and that kind of thing. James Bond is saying apps that Mr. Miracle would actually have a reason to exist. Oh, shots fired at regular Mr. Miracle. There were a couple of moments, I have to say, in the special where they did feel a bit like when Orion so casually refers to Darkseid as his father. He's like, my father is going. I'm like, that is... Yes, Darkseid is Orion's father, but like... I did read Get Fury. I did like Get Fury. It's very Ennisy, though. Dante Cook is saying Scarlet Witch is still good. Oh, bye, Harley X Joker. Enjoy dinner. Spherical Logic is saying Spider-Gwen feels lost on 616 to me, and I hope it doesn't last. Do you mean like you hope that she stops feeling lost, or you hope that they stop trying to incorporate her into the main universe? Snafu is saying, I actually like the idea of Superman wanting you to get your life together instead of just lowering his expectations on you, like some crime fighter. Is that a Batman shot? Batman doesn't give up on you. He actually doesn't. Spherical Logic is saying either one would work, really. Javi is saying NYX actually acknowledges that Krakoa happened. Good night, Balls Monkey. It is getting later, isn't it? Brian Harry's asking, what is your favorite Ghost Machine book, if you have one? Rook Exodus, but I'm also enjoying... I really liked Hyde Street a lot, so we'll see. That one might move up there. Oh, Kavinsky, it's actually not. It's Prince Robot from Saga. But I can see why. I can see why you would think that. If you go up, he's got like his royal stuff and his sash and all that stuff on. I'm still really enjoying Ultimate X-Men a lot. And I think that one's really been coming together. Eric P is saying Marvel Fantastic Four might be the best series at the moment. I'm looking forward to the series with the question. I think that one, I'm looking forward to the mystery series. I think that could be a lot of fun. Brian Harry's saying Redcoat surprised me in a good way. A good surprise. That's an issue I still need to read as well. The sixth of that, because I'm reading all of them. So I need to finish that as well. I always tend to rank them by what I'll probably end up picking up in trade and what will end up on the shelf. Also Geiger. I've never talked about Geiger for some reason, which is really funny because that's the first one. But that one I've also been enjoying as well. Ben Chan is saying, Sheriff question is an idea. Are you not vibing with the look? She looks like she stepped out of the Old West. Ernesto is saying the Guiles is happening at one point, but Marvel's delaying it as long as they can. Common Sense is saying there is Ultimate Guardians of the Galaxy now. Yes, there are. The only thing I'm curious as to how, okay, there was a question that I saw online, which was people trying to rank this Ultimate Universe versus the original Ultimate Universe from the year 2000. So how do you feel about that? Because I feel like they're quite different from each other, but the question was very much, which do you think is better? And they're just so each of their era that I find it a bit difficult to compare them. What about you? Or do you feel that one Ultimate Universe stands clearly above the other? Brad Bauer is saying, I liked the earlier Ultimate better. Hunter is saying, I like the new one. The new one seems better. Figment is saying, I think it depends on your definition of better. That's also a good point. What is the metric? Like, because the metric is just kind of vaguely placed out there as better. And it's like, but in what capacity is also a good question. Comics for Blame is saying it's too early to make that call. Yeah, because the Ultimate Universe ran for quite a while. Like, it was consistent and it did very well. Comic Book Prince saying absolute flop. I don't think it's going to absolutely flop. But that goes with the AF thing that Scott wanted to do. So Stanley is saying, would you ever do comic reading streams like Amanda? I've seen her comic reading streams. They're very relaxing. Sometimes I pop in and edit to her comic reading streams. Probably not. I don't think I could be silent for so long. It impresses me that she's able to be so focused and quiet while on stream like that. I need to talk. I feel the need to talk. She's good at the Pomodoroing. They're very nice, chill vibes. Dragonberry Mead, thank you very much. What's your opinion on Marvel symbiotes? They keep making new ones and then just forgetting about them. That's just a new character thing in general. I feel like that there's a lot of so many new characters that there are so many that are just left by the wayside that could be picked up, and there's so much that could be done with them. It does feel a bit sometimes with certain types of characters like dilution. I would argue that symbiotes sometimes feel that way. Figment. Oh, Figment is saying, wait, who's doing these comic reading streams? Amanda. At Vampex13, we stream together a lot. She does a whole variety. Like, her channel is amazing. She does a whole bunch of variety of things. She streams almost daily. She does gaming streams. She does chill chit chat streams. She has baking streams. But one of the things she also does is these work called Pomodoro streams, where she will read for a certain amount of time, like quietly, and then there's a timer, and then at the end of the time, like, she'll chat. Basically, it's supposed to be an organizational thing, like a work with me type thing. So like some people find it very helpful to keep them organized because it's like you're working with somebody and like there's somebody kind of like to keep you to task, you know? And also, especially with so many people working from home these days, you know, it can get a little lonely sometimes. So I think it's a nice thing. I think it's fun. Like sometimes it's just nice to like look and like, oh, somebody else is working with me. So I know it's not for everybody. Like I know it's not everybody's thing, but like for the type of people who would enjoy it, it's out there. That's the thing. There's a type of stream out there for everybody. I like doing the chit chat streams and I like doing the conversational streams when I want to do some of those with more people as well because I think they're fun. I like looking at comics on stream and sometimes just doing these casual, just chatting, you know, type things is a lot of fun. Where's absolute Johnny? Tyler is asking. We have so many absolute ideas. I think earlier today, actually, I was supposed to, well, she wanted me to. She was playing a game, this cool like office game that's like Among Us with Lucy, who's also really cool. And she has a gaming channel and a spooky channel as well. But Lucy's on UK time. So, but they had to stream in the middle of the day and I just couldn't. But next time, hopefully, we're going to do some gaming because the gaming gaming will be a lot of fun. It's really fun to play those types of games with larger groups of people when you can. Chemdog saying absolute sorrow lantern. The world's not ready for that much power. Oh gosh, for the person who said that, Jeremy Adams tweeted out one of those videos. Was it the one where I read Sorrow Lantern in that ridiculous voice? Oh, part of me hopes so. So many people were like, why did you make him sound like that? I'm like, I don't know. This is how he sounds in my mind. Those are the voices people get, the voices that they have when I read them. It's just fun. It's like when you read a story out loud, you know, for a kid, you want to do the voices and that kind of stuff. I don't know. For me, it makes it really entertaining. You have to make your own fun. Absolute Jimmy Olsen is also someone that I don't know if the world is ready for. The original Jimmy Olsen is already so powerful. That's too much power for one man. Whatever that would look like. Oh. Well, we've been at this for a little bit, and I want to thank all of you for just coming and chit-chatting and hanging and giving all of these wonderful absolute titles and ideas. It's been a it's been a really good time. And thank you as always. There's going to be more stuff coming soon. I have a bunch of videos planned for the coming week. So I'm excited to share all of those with you. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, whatever you're doing. I'm going to go and do even more work. So I'll see you again soon. All right. Bye-bye.